We should be good now. So, so last week we created something similar to this, and then maybe we clicked and then we routed to this part. Then we created different applications like this and all those other things. But we never completed the whole project. Remember, we are creating a Django poll. So by the end of the day, we should be having something almost similar to this one here. So we should be able to go to question 2. Then from question 2, we should be able to see a list of options. Then we should be able to check an option. Then we should be able to vote maybe for option 2. We should be able to vote, and then we see the number of votes depending with the option. So that's what we are aiming to achieve today. Maybe you can take this system, you can tweak this system, you can create your own polling system, style it, make it better, add better questions, and all those other things. Maybe you can create this polling system, and maybe we can be using it in your class. Maybe you want to ask you some questions, then you can deploy the system and make us use it. Ask questions and take survey in those kind of systems. It's now up to you to style. You can either vote again, you can either decide to go to option 2, vote. Still, you can see option 2 has 2 votes. I can refresh and still it's persistent. That means this data is being stored in our database. So that data is already being stored in our database. That means we should be able to access this information. So that's the target of what you want to achieve today. But in the meantime, here is where we are. We fetched everything from the database. We just displayed the route, but we can't vote. We can't see the votes, and we can't see anything extra. So that's what we want to achieve. I'll open my code. I think it should be here. Where is it? It should be this one. Yeah, it should be this one. So I'm going to cd into desktop. Then I'm going to do that. I'm going to cd into fab cohort. I'm going to cd into Python. Then in Python, I'm going to do Django. Yes, like that. I'm just trying to navigate through my list, so don't worry of what I'm doing. So our aim is to get this poll system. Was it poll system? Let me check this one. Yeah, it should be the poll system. It's the one that we want to continue. So I'm going to cd into the poll system. Then in the poll system, I'm going to open it with my Visual Studio Code. So I'll open a specific thing here so that we make things clear. So I'm just going to open this with my Visual Studio Code. In my case, I'm using Visual Studio Code Insiders. Don't type yours Insiders unless you are using Visual Studio Code Insiders. So I'll open that with my Visual Studio Code. Then allow me to arrange my monitor, my screen. So I have this. Let me check. I have this. Let me see. Just a moment as I arrange my my screens. So this one should be my site. Okay. Okay, let me see. No, this one should be the opposite. Be adding desktop 3, desktop 2. I bring it. No. Just a moment. I go here. Then this I bring it here. I need this. Okay, now we should be good to go now. So here is where we left. This is my code. Let me zoom. So we did all these things. We set up our styles, our URLs. We created all our URLs. We configured our settings. We are going to play around with our settings. Also our views. We played around with our views. Then also we played around with our URLs and how to access the admin site and everything that we have. So we are going to continue and see where we left from our documentation. So I'm going back to my documentation. Let me check, go back to my documentation. It should be the other part. Should it be part 5? No, it should be part 3 or part 4. Let me check. It should be part 4. Did we create part 4? Let me just quickly check so that we can continue. Yeah, we created the detail page, but we never added everything that we have in our detail page. But already we created our index.html file. It should be working as expected. So with that said, let's check from where we left. Let's just go back to section 3 and maybe have a quick recap. So in section 3 or in part 3, we created the home page, we added our views, some of our views, we changed how we played around with our URLs and everything. We added our index, we changed everything here, we joined, then we created a simple template that fetched items from the database all the way to our front end. Then also we did our views and we customized our views to direct into specific parts. Then we created four error messages, and then also we created templates. Did we create templates? No. We were to create now the templates, and then the other parts that we go to part 4. So remember, we are following this documentation, and then everything should be easy on us. So how do we create these templates in our detail.html file? Remember that we have just created and then we just prepared the page, but we never added details. So here, then back to the details. View all our polls applications. So in the detail page is where we are going to view our polls. For example, you see this page, where is it? Let me just refer from this page. Yeah. So once I click, it's going to go to the detail, the exact where we have all these details, polls details and everything. So that's what we want to achieve. But as you can see here, you see here, once I click here, it goes to the details, but it never captures the details from the database. So that's what we want to achieve. Now in the details page, fetch everything and then map it here. So in our detail page, we are going to add this code and then we are going to explain what this code does. So go here in our details, then we paste that code and then we explain. So here we are trying just to map or to loop through the items in the database, then displaying our choices texts over here in if or only if we have these choices. So this is the question name that we are trying to pass it over here. So that's what we are trying to do. Then from this line of code here, or from this statement, that's the other part, removing the hard-coded URLs in the templates. So where is our hard-coded URLs in our templates? It should be here. So let me just hide that. You see this URL here. This is a hard-coded URL. It only maps to the my map, then goes to detail, then captures the question ID and all that thing. This is hard-coded. We are telling it where to go, but we want to make it to go into a specific question. Don't just route. So we are going to add that. So remember when we wrote the link to the question or to a question poll. Then the link was partially hard coded like this. You see these polls, and let's see if we have this. See this URL, my app detail. Maybe we changed that. Let me check. Let me just quickly check. Yes, David. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to check. I think we have already added this. Yeah, actually, it's here. It's here. Yeah, actually, it's here. That's what we are trying to repeat, but we can just have a quick overview. So, uh-huh. So you see this link here is no longer hard coded. So once we click my app, it goes to details and then it goes to the question and then it displays the actual question. But remember that we added this code that we didn't add last week. So let's try if this one still works out. Let me refresh. See, still going to question 3. Maybe let's figure out where or what we are missing. So let me check we have added this. Let me check if we have added all our views correctly or our URLs. Let me go to my URLs, not this one. URLs. In these URLs, where is my detail? Then my result, and then my vote should be matching this one. Yeah, so that one we are already done. I think we have already done with the part 3. We are just repeating what we did. Maybe we can just skip to part 4. Part 4, here we are just writing or creating a minimum form where we are going to see some details, where we are going to vote, where we are going to select options and all those things. So to write a minimum form, let's update our poll details in our poll detail.html from the last tutorial, so that the template contains the form. So we are going to copy this code. You see this code, then update it in our detail. So it should be in our detail. You see this detail here. We just update it and add that in our details. As you can see here, I'm being guided by this. You see this here, this text, detail.html. So it's guiding me where to add this code. So we can explore this code and see what this code does. This is just a normal form where you are going to have input with the radio button where you are going to select and vote. And you see here. Let me refer this one here. You see this normal form where we have inputs, we have options, and all those things. This is exactly this form. So you see this question is this question over here that we have it. Then no, yeah, that's the question that we have, and also all the options they have been mapped here. Question in the text, the choice text is already mapped over here. So I think we have done this several times. This one should not be that much complex for us to understand. But in case it's too hard, or maybe I'm moving too fast, you can just tell me I'm moving too fast. I slow down. In case I'm moving too fast, just tell me I'm moving too fast. So in this form is where we are trying to achieve this functionality here, or this function here. Create this beautiful form. Where in a form we can create and then we can submit a vote. So that's the basic use of a form. So in this form, select an option and submit. But where are we getting our options? We are getting our options from our database. Where we are adding our options, then now one can vote with these options provided. So with that, you can either decide to go through this text to know what exactly each part or each bit of the code is doing. So you see the name of each choice is just this name. Simple things that we have in our HTML, in our normal HTML that we have been creating from day one. So this one should not be new to you to this moment. So that one is just trying to explain the HTML and everything, the basic HTML, and where we are getting these votes. We are just trying to map through the exact variable names um, or our names, we are trying to map them over here. You see this text here. Let me just check where. For example, this is the question text, and the question text is the field that we stored in our database named question text. So it's that's what we are trying just to map through. You can read through this, and then maybe you can understand it better. But let's see what this does. CSRF token. What does this do? Anyone with any idea? Maybe you have done research and see the meaning of this. What does this do? Anyone? Anyone with any idea of what this code does? This one here. You can either decide to ask AI. You can decide to ask AI to tell us what this code basically does. You can either go to the LMS and then ask the Gemini, or you can still decide to go to here. So let me just ask. Oh, wow. Let me just refresh. You can either decide to ask AI, explain this in Python. Let's see what this code does. Or this. Mhm. Let me see. Yeah, it's explaining. So this one is a template tag used in Django templates to insert a cross-site request forgery token into forms. So this token is used to protect against these SRF attacks, which are type of attacks where malicious user tricks a victim into submitting a request on their behalf after often without their knowledge. So this one is just used for security purposes, maybe to avoid this form being submitted and it was not requested to be submitted or something like that. But in for example, in JavaScript we use e.prevent default. So e.prevent default is like protecting the form from being submitted by maybe system error, submits the form or that thing. But I want to submit this form in when I perform a certain action. So I'm not being tricked to submit the form. I submit the form once I need it. In JavaScript, we say e.prevent default to avoid that submission of a form that I didn't want. So in Django, we have this for security purposes, maybe to avoid us from being submitted either by bots, by all those things, just protecting our form from misbehaving. So that's the purpose of that. So to continue, the other part should be, now let's create a Django view that handles a submitted data and does something with it. Remember in tutorial 3, we created our URL config for polls applications. That includes this line. We already created this in our views or in our URLs. So we already created these, and all those things. We have already created them. So this one is just a reference. So we also created a dummy implementation of votes. We also created a dummy implementation of votes. So let's create a real version and the following in our views. You see here in our views. Where is our views? In our views, we have our votes where we want to submit our votes. We just created this something dummy for us to see, but we want to see the real data. So we are going to add this code and then we are going to explain what this code does. Here we are just replacing the vote function. So I'll just copy this vote function. Then I'm going to replace this vote function with this new function, and then we are going to explain. So this one has an error. We need to also import this. We need to import this. We also need to import that. Any other error, we have choice does not exist. We also have to import uh, this from our models. So we already have this, so we only need to add the choice. That is being imported directly from our models. So let me just close that. So let's explain this code, what this code does. First thing we are trying to do here, try exempt to catch errors. First, let's catch our errors before anything else. So try exempt to catch our errors. So what are we trying to do? Create a variable that gets an object or for error. Then inside that pass a question, then also pass a question ID that we have over here. Then try what? Try selected choice. That is a variable that we are creating. Then pass the question. You see this question that we have here. Then choice set get. Then you pass the actual choice over here. So this one we are trying to vote. Remember, this is a post method. So the post method is to send something to our database, so that what you are trying to achieve. So with also the exempt here, we can print out either the results, or we can now print out the error message that you didn't select a choice over here. So this we are going to render it in our browser. So we are going to render it specifically in our detail page. So what if everything now is goes to success? So get the selected choice, then dot vote, add that one vote, then selected choice, then you are going to save that. Once we click on the save, or once we click on the upload or vote, then we are going to save that in our database. Then this one is going to redirect us to the results page, where we have our results. For example, I can demo this with our complete version. So once I vote, you see this, once I vote, it's going to submit this vote and redirect me to a different page where we have our votes or our vote results. So this is the vote results that we are being redirected here in our HTTP response redirect. So we also need to import this. This one is not imported, so we need to import it over here. Just next to this, we need to import that. We also need to import reverse that one from our URLs. And the reverse one specifically does, you see, vote for another or something like this. Where is it? You see, vote again. Maybe you are trying to achieve that functionality with the redirect. So let's see if we have something else we need to import. We have votes, we have save. So what have we not imported? We have that, we have that. Also, we need to import this one here. And we should be good to go now. Unless it complains, then we are going to fix that in case it complains. So with that said, let's go to the next step, but we can still test our application in every phase that we create. Let me reload. Let me go here. Still, we have nothing like that. So let's continue and see where we are going to get the results that we need. So the next part is actually redirecting to our results or into our specific pages. Let's see if we are going to get redirect to our specific page. So in the meantime, you can just go through that URL and see if you are going to get the results. Maybe we can try this and see if we are going to get the results for that. So this one should be results. See the results, you are looking at the results of question 3. So that one should be working. So once we map through or we create the results, we are going to see all those results pages. So don't worry about that. But this one, we have an error here. You see this one here? This one, once we click this, it should be showing this form that we created. See this form in our detail. It should be showing this form. So we need to check our code correctly. This one is detail, so this one should be detail. So we need to cross check where we are going wrong. So this one is working correctly. So we need to see why is it not going to the actual question. Why is it going to details? Anyone who can see the issue why is not redirecting to the actual question. What have we not done? We have added my details in our URLs. Where is our URLs? We have mapped through correctly. Then the name, it should be detail, which is the one here, detail. Let me check my views. This one should be votes, detail. Yeah, we are yet to do the detail page, so we are yet to do the detail view. That's why it's not yet showing our results. Yes, David. I think, David, we have not yet done our details. That's why it's still not showing the actual detail for that specific question. We have not yet added our views. Yeah. So let's see where we need to add our views. It seems that we missed certain part that was very important. This one should be either in part 3 that we just missed, detail. Let me check the index, that index. Yeah, this one here. See this one here, we should have added something in our detail that should have matched. So let me see if we have an updated detail page that we need to add. So the last function of our detail should be this one here. So we should have added this in our detail. So our detail should be looking like this. Should not be the this HTTP. It should be this one over here, where the question is a variable where we get this object. Let's see. Yeah, we have correctly. Yeah, it should be now working once we click on this. Once we go back here, we save. Yeah, it should be working now. So it's just a small error that we are going to fix, but now it should be showing the exact detail page. So what have we not done yet? This should be pause our code for our detail, like 11, my app, Let's see. Refresh. Perfect. So that one is now working. As you can see, this is a new quiz. Hello world, it's mapping over here. Um, New awesome quiz. So that one is working now. And also you see that our error message here is working. For example, if we try to submit this vote and we have not voted or we have not added anything, now it gives us this error message. You did not select any choice. And this error message is actually here in our views. So you did not select any choice with the error try catch block that we created. So that's how this one should be doing up to here. So let's see if we have achieved that. As you can see, we have options, we have this question and also the options. So that one should be working perfectly. Ignore these ones here, the top ones. This is just a repetition. So just ignore this part and focus only on this part. And that one we have already achieved. We have already achieved that functionality. Where we are seeing our quiz, then we are going to see our choices from here. So what is the next step? Let me just go to the next step and see what we have. We have already added this. We have already tested this. Then now the next step actually should be now changing your results page in your um, in your views. So let's quickly copy this code and explain what it's doing. So this one should be actually in our results. So in our results, this one is a HTTP response. So we no longer need this HTTP response. Now we need to return the actual thing that's over here. But as you can see, this is a results.html. We have not yet created this results.html file. So we need to create it. And remember this one here is inside our polls, our results. So it should be inside our template, polls, and then here it should be results.html like that. Then over here you can just generate the template and then you can just uh, change some few things like this and then there we have it. So that one should be routing to that exact page. Then that one should be working fine. So let's explain what's going on here in our results. So we have our parameters that we have passed over here. Then we have our variable that we declare here, and then we get the object or HTTP response, and then we get the question over here. If we have any HTTP response, not HTTP, but if we have any error, it's going to show. If we have any question, it's going to show the question and the question ID as well. So after that, we are going to return this question, but this question we are going to return it inside our HTML, that is results.html. So we are going to return the results into that page, or we are going to push our results into that page. So the next thing that we can do is now in our results, now you can display the results of that page. So in our results, we are going to paste this code and then we are going to explain. So this one should be the question name that we have displayed over here. Then when this one is going to map through the list of results that we have, either this one has been voted, option A, option B has been voted, all these things. So for example, in our finished build, maybe I can vote for option 2 and then it redirects. So this is the page we are trying to build. So option 1 has 2 votes, 2, 1 vote. So this is the page that we are trying to create. So this is the page where we are going to map through the list of choices, and set all the choices that have been voted here, the list of choices and the ones that have been voted. So here we are going to list the choice text, the choice votes, the number of votes, and also all those details that we have here. Option 1, 2 votes, then just take the text over here. So for example, you can see, I want you to see something here. You see here, if we have 2 votes, it's going to say votes. But if you have 1 vote, it's only saying 1 vote. So this is the code. Here we have the choice text. You see the choice text, the choice text. Then the number of votes that we have is 2. Then we have the vote. This is just a string that we are going to display, but it's going to check if the choices dot vote. If the votes are many, then make it plural, and plural of 1 is maybe plural of people is peoples or something like that, according to whatever we are trying to create over here. So it's going to make that into plural if we have more than 1 value. So that's what we are trying to achieve, but we are yet to be there. So we need to map through a list of votes from our databases and everything. So what next? The next thing is actually using generic views with less code. So we can read through this statement, quickly read through this statement. So the detail, this function from our tutorial 3 or from our section 3 and the result views are very short. And as mentioned above, redundant, and the index which displays a list of polls is similar. So, for example, we have been writing a lot of code in our views. You see this code in our views. Where is our views here? In our views, maybe you are going to write it a lot and a lot of it. So we need to avoid writing some things here. That's why we are going to use generic views to display whatever activity that I want to display. So, so what we are going to do is actually amending our URL configuration. So we are going to change this by just some few things, and then we are going to explain. So I'll just copy this and show you the difference between the ones that exist. You see, let me show you with the ones that exist. As you can see, this is a path views. So this is views.index and then just the name. But here is views.index view as view. Then like that. That's what we are trying to uh, to amend and just avoid writing some redundant code and everything like that. So once we run that, it's going to fail because we need to change some more things. So let's just first not run our application, but we can as well run our application and do away with this code here. Just do away with this. Save and rerun our application. This one should fail terribly. Perfect. So this one should fail terribly because we are yet to to create these detailed views as mentioned. So, so what we are going to do is now change our normal views into class-based. See these views here? They are just normal functions. But remember, in functions, we said we can write this in OP-based, and OP-based we can write in form of classes. So to write it as a class, we need to actually do all this. So we are going to change the index, the detail, and the results. But leave alone the votes. We are going to explore why we are leaving alone the votes. So we are going to change only 3 You're going to do away with that code and then maybe write this one in form of class based. And we said we need OP because we can inherit, we can reuse that code, we can do all those other things with OP. That's why we have quickly switched this to class to class based. So over here we have a class that we are calling it index view. You see this index view is what we are reusing and exporting it to index view. As you can see now it has stopped complaining. Then the detail view, because it's a class, we can export, we can reuse it. There we have it, and also we have the result. We have the result view. That's why and where we have this one here. So we also need to import the generic view module that we have. We are going to import it. Then we are going to, from the generic views, then we are going to use the list view. So how do we import this? We already have this. We are going to import it over here. So we are going to import our generic here. And then let's see if we have anything else complaining. If we get anything complaining, we are going to change it. But as you can see, nothing is complaining. So our app should now be running again perfectly. If it fails, we are going to see why. So it should go to that, then it should vote or fail. Our application still working as expected. So we have just switched from our normal functions to our P based functions. So in each generic view needs to know what model it will be acting upon. So this provides using either the model attributes or blah blah blah. You can read through this to know exactly what each part of this code does. That's why we have documentation. If you're a programmer, you need to learn on how to use documentations. You need to learn on how to go through this all these things by your own, and then just follow along, and then you'll be able to create these things. As you can see, this is not a program that we created by our own. It's something that has been provided by Django for us to just use. So basically that's the end of our part 4. Is it part 4? Yeah, that's the end of our part 4 for that section. Any question before you go to the last part? Any question before you go to the last part? You can as well raise your hand. You can as well raise your hand so that I unmute you and ask any question. And again, yes, David. Should we not define classes in the models? What do we have in our models? In our models, we have our here where we are structuring our database. We don't need to. We have already created these classes here. We don't need to interfere with our models. Our model just works with our database, so we don't need to interfere with our models. But as well, you can write this. Also, you can change the dev into class based. You just need to change some few things into class based, and then it will work for this purpose. Why we changed this? Because we said in OP you can write a code and then you can reuse that code, or you can export that code into another function, or you can call it somewhere else, and then you can use it, you can play around with it. That's why we switched to class based according to our documentation, because we are going to reuse this code in multiple places. That's why we switched to OP based or to classes. Mhm. Okay. So, maybe you can go to another part, but before we go to the other section, you are just about to complete the code. And we said from the timetable that we have, you are going to end. That should be on 19th June. So you are expected to create a project on your own. Come up with an idea, then work on that idea on your own. But in case that idea is not so clear to you, then we are here. You can guide you. We can give you examples of these ideas, and then you can just work around with the ideas that we are going to provide. So we are going to strictly end the cohort on 19th or 20th June, maybe allowance of 2 or 3 days to end the cohort. But by then, you should have already submitted your final project and also a pitch deck for that project. It's not a must that you now start thinking about the pitch deck. How am I going to do this? We have AI that is Gamma, and I know Nelly has guided you through Gamma AI on how to create those pitch decks. So that one should be easy for you to generate. For the final project, maybe you specialized in Python, but you have no idea you can work on in Python. You can either go to or use that or use the web technologies to create your final project. It's not strictly you should create your final project in the module that you specialized. It's not that one is not going to happen. So just choose the technology that you are comfortable with and also create that. Maybe, maybe, yes, David. Yeah, I saw a lot of people want requesting for the deferment form. Why should you quit and you can create your program in whatever you are comfortable with? Maybe personally, I'm not comfortable with Django. Maybe I know a lot of React. I can create that, and then I will submit that project, and then say it's web based, it's Python based, or whatever it's based. You can also create a project in C, then submit it. As long as you create or you submit a project, then we are good with you. So we are not just restricting our the projects to be either Python, web, or that. Feel free to use another technology: React, Vue, Angular, all those technologies. Flask, just feel free to use those other technologies to create your final project. It's open. It's not. It's open. It's not closed. So you should be free to use that any technology that you want. We have said we are not restricting to any specific module. So that one should ease your pressure to quit or your pressure to give up. Also, the good thing is that you can now you see this program that we have been building together. You can make the UI so good. You can tweak the questions. You can make the questions fun, and maybe you can add maybe extra feature and then submit that as your final project. We worked on the hackathon previously. You can submit. You can change this, play around with whatever we created, and then submit that as your final project. So it's allowed. It's allowed. Uh, the good thing is that you now learned, you know how to create a simple Python program, simple web, simple database. You understand. So just submit what you have or the idea that you have. And as you submit, remember that we always have awards for the best projects. We now push those projects to pitching. All those we forward them to potential investors. We engage you, fully engage you in your pitch decks, show you how to pitch, uh, push you to go to hackathons, facilitate for everything that you need to participate in the hackathon, but the project should be the one that you submitted for your final project. So still having that in mind whenever you are trying to give up, if you are trying to give up, have that in mind as well. So with that said, let's go to the final step. So step number 6 or part 6. Part 6 or part 5, this one should be part 5. So part 5 is actually testing our application. Testing security, testing flaws in our systems, testing the speed of our application, if it's doing things correctly, if we have any thing to fail, we can skip that test, or you can just decide to go through the test and then just test your application security. Create some simple test, and you have been guided here on how to create this test. So you can go through section 5 and then run all these tests and everything that you need in your test. So just follow along whatever you are guided here, and then you'll be able to create your test and everything. This is where the reason why we have this test is, as a developer now, you are working in a company, or you are working in a big organization, or you are just trying to create your own product and you want your product to be safe. You always have to create tests just to avoid bugs, to avoid security problems with your software, with all those things. Maybe to know the amount of time that it will be taken for a user to access your system, to access a certain service. All those things you need to do tests and know where to improve. And you have been guided on how to do the test and everything, the outcomes, the expected outcomes, and what you can do best to get the best results. So in part 5, you can just go through part 5 on your own, and then you learn a lot of things to do with test. So let's do the final part. Should it be the final? Let's see. Not really, because this is just adding some simple CSS. You can just add some CSS. I'm just showing you how to add this CSS. We have already covered our our CSS in the previous sessions, Django sessions. So that one should not be add for you. One thing that you need to do is actually creating a static file or a static folder. Click on manage, then inside here, create static. Then inside our static, we are going to create polls folder, not folder. Let me see according to this. Yeah, we need a polls directory as well. So this one should be polls directory. Then inside our polls directory, now we can create styles.css, and here is where we are going to write our background colors, everything, text, maybe background color yellow, and here is where you are going to actually create all those styles. Now, once you create these CSS files, you need to include it into your specific HTML file where you want to link your CSS. So the first thing that we need to do, as always, um, is loading the static files. The static files include images, um, images, videos, CSS, and all those files. So that are all medias, all things. That one should be the static file. So we are trying to load our static all the static files in our static folder, we are trying to load them over here. So the next thing that we need to do is actually create a link, and now where we are going to link our specific CSS. So this one is already provided, so we can just copy this, then um, hmm, then add our code over here. That should be our rel should be styles. That one we are aware of. Then this one should load the static. So the static is this static that we have loaded. Then go to your polls. Our polls should be inside our static. See our static here. We have already loaded static. So we need to go to our polls, then load the styles.css. So ours is styles. So we need to change this to styles. And then that one should be working perfectly. So let's see if we have our app running. So this one is not showing anything. It's not showing any CSS or any signs of being styled. So we need to add some more. We need also to register our CSS inside our settings, if I'm not wrong. What can we call it here? Maybe I can just use the code in this window. Let me just copy, then explain what's happening. So this one, yes, David. Mhm. Yes, it's in the same level. As you can see, the static is in the same level as the templates, my site, my app. Mhm. So my all our static should be inside our app, right? So I'm going to rewrite it. So still okay. So let me just go to static, then like that. So our static, our polls. So still that should be so we can try to rerun, right? Yeah, perfect. Then that one works. So we have our CSS loading, we have our polls, we have everything. But we are still remaining to do with our votes. So that should be it for this section. That is section or part 6. So that's it for part 6. You can just go around and add your background images, and this one should be inside your static and all those things. You can play around with these styles with the HTML and CSS that you have learned in the web development class. So this one, you can just make your app very neat, very, very very beautiful. You can just make it like that, and then maybe you can make it beautiful and submit it as your final project. You never know. So we are going to go to the final part. This one should be a little bit tricky, but we are going to figure out. We are going to crack this one. So what we want to achieve is this feature over here. Once we click this, we are going to see the list of options. Then we are going to actually click an option and vote. That one can either be tricky or should either be simple. for us to use. But in this case, it's very simple. It's very simple. Let's see how long this one is. So this one is very, very short. It seems to be long because of these images. So this one should be very, very easy part to set up. So let's customize the admin form, then add a list of options. So we want to, let me just go to admin. Where is my admin? So let me just copy this URL and then go to admin. Then here in my admin, god damn, I'm going to change this to 1234.abc. Let's check. Should be this one is tricky, but let me check from the list of passwords that I have. I can just copy one of my password and see if it works for all the admins. Not really. That one. Um, wow, 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 wow. What password did we create for this? Mhm. We can either create it here or I can either, let me see if I have an idle window. Poll system. How do we go about that? How do we create the super user? Yeah. Sorry. CD my site. Uh, Python manage.py create super user username. Let me name it add admin. That's my email. And password should be 1234.abc. 1234.abc. There we have it. So now this one should be able to log in. Let me refresh. Mhm. Okay, so I try to migrate still inside here, Python manage.py. How do we run migrate? Hmm, just write the migrate. That's simple. Python manage.py migrate. See, apply, no migrations. So this one should, can we try make migrations? Migrations or migrations. No. Mhm. Okay, maybe let me refresh, change the password admin. This one should be n234.abc. There we go. So that one as accepted, so that one should be working correctly. So in our database, in our list of questions, so you can see our questions here. We want, once we click on any question, we see a list of options. But also these questions here, they seem to be ugly. We also need to customize these questions to be a little bit smart, and actually vote. So that one should take us around 20-25 minutes to do that. So don't give up, don't quit the session. So now let's customize the admin form. To customize the admin form, go to the admin.py, then just make it now a class, and then just add this code over here. So where is our admin? Let me change this. This one is very big. Go to, let me just search admin. Then just add it over here. So call it a class of question admin. Then call the admin.model admin. That has already been provided. And also fetch the fields and fields assigned to this list over here. We are going to explore further according to this documentation over here. So what is the next step? You'll follow this pattern. Create a model admin class, then pass it as a second argument, admin site, blah, 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 like that. So because we have already created this, see this question over here, you also need to pass it over here. That's what we are being told by our documentation over here. So this particular changes makes the publication date come from before the question field. Okay, let's see this. I want you to see something. Where is our site? You see these questions over here. Once I refresh this page, you're going to see a different design. Not really. Let's continue, and then we are going to see maybe further designs according to this documentation. Oh, sorry, I got it. Where is it? You see this date here. Before we added that code, this one, you see this date published came on top of this. You see this came on top of the question text. Initially it was the opposite. So this one just rotated, and then this one came down, and the date published came on top. So let's continue. This isn't quite impressive with only 2 fields, but for admin forms with dozens of fields, choosing an intuitive order is an important for usability details and all those things. Now you see this field here. Our database is already full. As you can see, our screen is already full. We need to make our maybe we have dozens and dozens of inputs or fields. We need still to customize that. So there's nothing else that we are going to do. Just copy that code inside our function, inside our class, then just do away with that step by step, and then just make it field sets. See these field sets? Once I save and reload, where is it? See this design? Once I've save and reload this page, you are going to see a different thing. So let me save and come here and reload our page. Now you can see we have a different design. Now this one came on top, this one came down, but we are still yet to be there. We are not yet there yet. So let's continue. So now we changed this to field sets. Now let's add all related objects or combine all related objects together. So what we need to do, okay, we have our questions page, admin page. But the question has multiple choices. Remember, our question has multiple choices. And the admin page does not display choices yet. So, there are two ways to solve this problem. The first is to register the choices, the way you registered the question, you see. See the question, we registered it here and we passed it over here. So the first is adding the choices or the choice. And remember, this is a model that we created in our, where is it? Let me close this. We don't need this. Let me check our models. Remember, this is the choice that we created over here. One way is to add it over here and then map it over here. But let's continue. So once we register that, also once we add this in our admin, it's going to display now the option or the choices. But before we test that, now the choices is available option in Django admin. Add choice form looks like this. But let's just continue and then continue with other parts. So because we have already added our choice over here, let's check if there's anything that we need to add. Now, we need to add this code and then we are going to explain what this code does. So this code should be on top of here. Now, this now uses the choices. You see the choices that we have here. Now it uses it here, but from admin that we imported over here. So because we have already added that, that means we also need to change, or we also need to include this piece of code. See this piece of code, these field sets. We need to play around again with these field sets. See these field sets. We need to play around with the field sets. This one is, it should be indentation problem. So here we have some list of things that we want to display in a certain order. The question, in the question text, display the date information fields, publication date classes, and also this should be collapsible. Then make it an inline where we choose here. Remember, something that is stacked on top of each other. We need to maybe arrange these things. Maybe we can save and reload this. Let's see if we reload, we are going to see things. Yeah, perfect. You see these questions? You see these questions here? We have choices, choice 1, choice 2, then choice 3. But they are stacked. We have the question, we have the number of votes. Question, votes. What if we add around thousands and thousands of choices? They will be stacked and our code should be looking ugly. So we need to play around and maybe design that now to be looking like this. Question, votes, and other things like that instead of being stacked. So to change that, we are going to change this one to tabular view in form of a table. You see this one is stacked inline. So this one should be now a table format. So this one should be tabular inline. Once we save and reload this, you are going to see a difference. Once we reload, now you can see it has been formatted into this option. See, like that and like that. You can remove, either you can remove that option in case you just want to have one option. You can remove that. So the next step is actually adding some few things, adding some few things. But remember, you see this application over here, we can test something, we can test something. I want us to test something. See this vote, we don't have questions. So we can add some few options with the database that we have created. You see these options here. A new awesome question, we can add option 1, option 2, option 3. We save, we go and test our application. Save, new awesome quiz. Thank you. And there we have our options being fetched directly from our database. So that's it for that part. We can vote, and you can see in the votes page we have a lot of error. We can't see the output. So we are going to fix that later. You can either decide to add more styles into your page. You can either add that one more line inside your page. Actually should be inside here, your question admin. You can either display that list, display the question, and then the publication date. For example, let's see the awesome quiz. You see these questions and options. We can save and reload this and see if you have any changes. Maybe, yeah, you see this publication date has been added, but it was not existing initially. So we have added this. You can either add more styles if you want to. You can either add this was published. See this, once we add this, it will show this field over here that is was published recently. If in case we add that and we indent this correctly, and reload this, then you can see this field has been added. So anything else that we need to do? Maybe we need to go back to our models, then add this piece of code. But before we add, let's see what this piece of code does. Now you can click a column header to sort these values, except in case was published, blah 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 blah. Now you can improve that by using the display decoded on the method, or not methods, but in the models.py as follows. You can either decide to do that or just add or just ignore, but we can just add for the sake of adding that. That one should be inside our models, but inside our model should be inside our question model, if I'm not wrong. But inside our, no, it should not be here. Should be actually here. Then once we add that, we also need to import the admin, or we need to include the admin that is not here inside our models. Then that one should be able to see some few changes. Let's save and see if we have any changes. Still, that one just highlighted this error. We are going to fix it. We are going to add more code and say fix that thing. So actually you can add a filter if you want to. You can add a filter inside your where are we adding our views? Is it in the admin side? You can actually add a filter, and you are going to filter your here according to your date. You see here, once we refresh, now we can see we have added this filter. We can add today, past 7 days, last month, this year. That is actually adding that filter feature in our database. So, or in our admin side. So another thing that we can add is actually adding a search bar, where you see this. Now we can add a search bar over here. We are just customizing our admin side such that we can search according to something. You can search something over here. So we can actually add that search like this, and then once we save, now we have this field over here that we have here, and we can search. Once we type something, we can actually search that. We can just reload. No, we can remove this, don't need it. Yeah, you can you can search something here according to the text, and you can see the results over there. So with that said, I think now we should be able to run our application and see the results up to there. But we can try to finish and see if there's anything that we are remaining. We have added our filter, we have added our directories settings, we have added our templates. So what is remaining? What is remaining? The remaining part should be actually voting over here. So this one has a big error. So that's what we need to fix. And I know what we have not done. It should be inside our views. See our views, we have added our votes, we have added, it should be inside our results. So this one is result.html. We have results.html, should be showing the results. So what have we not added, or what error are we getting over here? Anyone with any clue of what we have not done correctly? Mhm. The results. Mhm. My that one should be still my app. Remember that also we changed this in our detail. Was it in our detail? Yeah, here. So we also need to change that. We can save, can refresh, we can vote. Still complaining. Let me see. So where the server is running should be here. Let's see. See now here. HTTP response directory serve. Mhm, mhm. So let me kill the server and then you go to views. Go to our views. Mhm. Here. So this should be my app. So that one should be my. Now let's relearn our application and see. Let's go to our browser, view, refresh, vote, and there we go. Perfect. And now we have our votes. So let's see if still this works for hello world. Hello world. Vote in our hello world. We don't have any choices, so we can add choices and say choice 1 should be Dave, choice 2 should be Evans, choice 3 should be Joe Gure. But is should be Joe Gure. Like that. Save. Go to our application. Then over here refresh. Hello world. We have Dave and then our vote goes to John Gure. Then John Gure has one vote. I can either vote again. Then this time I still vote for Evans. Then Evans has one vote. I can still vote for John Gure. John Gure has two votes. Then this time I can go for Dave. And then Dave has two votes. I can still again vote for Dev. Dev has two votes, and this should be fetched from our database. So once we go to our database and see hello world, then you see Dave. Dave has two votes, Evans has one, John Gure has two votes. And this data is being reflected real time. Once we vote, where? Once we vote, you see this, I vote for John Gure. Let me just try to display this screen 50-50. See this one should be Joe. Once I press on vote, this one should be showing see this one now, it's vote for votes. I can vote again, this time vote for Dave, then submit my vote, then wait, the database will change. This one should be changing, but once we refresh, this one should be automatically adding that field. So basically that's it for this section. Anyone with any question before we call it a day? That one should be should end our session. Yes, Ruth, do you have any question? Ruth, you have raised your hand. Do you have any question? You can just unmute yourself. Anyone with any question, you can raise up your hand, either pertaining your final project or pertaining anything. Yes, Seth Owino, then after Seth, you go to Ian Minor. Seth, do you have any question or any point? Good afternoon to you, Seth. Yeah. Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, you need to. Okay, because we already have, or maybe because you have already designed your HTML, you can still stick with the CSS. You can copy the CSS and just add it into the CSS that we created over here the way it is. Then most of the things in the HTML, still leave them until or unless you want to map everything in our in our HTML, unless we want to map anything from database, from anywhere. We're just going to change some few things when it comes uh, to the Django part. So, but in case you want specific sessions, maybe we can meet after this, or we can meet any other time you are comfortable with. We check your problem in depth, then we address it from where you are. But in case you are still stuck, feel free to text me, feel free to contact me anytime, and then we are going to uh, go through your issues. Whenever time you are comfortable with, you can just text me. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Okay. Yes, minor. Yan.